talented anime scholar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Otaku Crew podcast. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Before I get into anything, I'd like to invite you all to follow our podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever else podcasts are listened to. I also want to invite you all to subscribe to the Otaku Crew's YouTube channel. Do it! For our previous episodes and for more fun anime content. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to leave a comment and to check out our social medias. We also have a Discord server with top quality anime memes, so you don't want to miss out on that. Now, further ado, I am your host, Andy, and today I'm joined by my lovely friends. Tensei, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Wiseman?
Hey, thanks for asking. It's been so long. We haven't had you for a while, so I'm glad you're back with us. And today, your host.
Yeah, it's fun. This is going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Yep, I'm excited too.
Thanks. And for you, Minato, it's our first time on the podcast together. How you doing?
I'm very excited to finally be able to record with you.
Yes, me too. So for today's topic, we're talking about Star Wars Visions. Now, for our viewers who might be wondering, Andy, what does Star Wars have to do with anime? Well, for those of you who are not in the loop, Star Wars Vision is an anime anthology series that has been produced by Lucasfilms Animations as well as 7 Japanese animation studios. So those studios, we got Kamikaze Doga, so I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce these. Kamikaze Doga, who I'm pretty sure produced JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We got Studio Colorido, who produced Burn the Witch and Typhoon Noruda. We got Geno Studio, Trigger, who produced Kill la Kill and Little Witch Academia, Kinema Citrus, known for Black Bullet and Codebreaker, Production IG for Haikyuu, and Moriarty Patriot, and Science Saru, who's known for Devilman Crybaby. So each of these studios produced an original episode taking place within the Star Wars universe. They're all original, they're short, and they do not relate to each other at all. And even though the episodes, they're short, the content is no less entertaining. But before we dive into it, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen Star Wars Visions, please go watch it, then come back to this episode. If you don't mind spoilers, then feel free to stay. You have been warned. Now, to begin, are you guys familiar with the Star Wars series?
I sure am, but I'll leave it up to the other two to answer first.
Wiseman, what do you know about Star Wars?
I am a casual fan of Star Wars. I've seen movies, I've seen a bit of the cartoon shows, like Clone Wars and maybe I've seen a bit of Rebels too. Yeah, I've seen clips of Rebels and here and there, but I am not that deep into the lore. Sorry.
Oh, that's fair. It's definitely a very large series, and it's only growing from now. So, what about you, Tensei?
For me, I was more of a fan of the old movies, but past episode 6, I kind of gave up on it.
That's fair.
Oh boy.
And for you, Minato?
I'm a very hardcore fan when it comes to Star Wars, much to my detriment. When the most recent movies came out anyway, but I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now with content like Visions, honestly. That's the kind of thing that excites me because I've been a big Star Wars fan for a long time. I've watched pretty much all the TV shows, all the movies, obviously. I've even read into some of the books and some of the comic books because I'm that hard into the lore. I love it so much.
Oh, so you really are a hardcore fan. Well, hardcore compared to the rest of us.
Well, for some people, sorry, I was going to say, for some people, Star Wars is like religion for them, so yeah, it's pretty big.
I'm not that extreme on it, but I am closer to that than most people, for sure.
What's the CinemaCon that they do for just Star Wars exclusive? Is it called Star Wars Celebrations? Have you ever gone to that, Manado? Something like that?
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first time I heard of that. That sounds interesting, though. I mean, that makes sense. Like you said, it's like a religion.
No, but no, I remember hearing about it, and it's somewhere in the States, of course. I'm assuming it's California, but like, there's a convention out there just to Star Wars itself. Like, how Comic-Con kind of includes like
Oh,
every other
wait.
like.
I know about that one, actually.
Uh,
One of my friends actually was forced to go there because his mom kind of tried to drag him there.
Oh, damn. Well, I hope he had fun. So what about
Yeah.
Star Wars Visions, guys? So what did you guys think when you guys first heard that all these anime studios were going to be diving into that universe?
I was so excited. It's exactly the kind of like original collaboration that I want to see for Star Wars, like bringing out new ideas and letting all these studios like have creative freedom to just like take the license and do what they feel like with it. I'm sure like from the start, I think it's obvious that Disney probably had like some guidelines for what they had to do, but overall, like it from the like the first announcement of it, when they showed like commercials and stuff for it, it looked like they really just went with it, and I was extremely excited.
Yeah, what about you, Tensei? Did you hear about it, or did you only hear about it when I told you?
I did not hear it before you mentioned it. I heard of Visions as an animated show, as an anime, but I didn't really see too much about the other studios being involved in it. If anything, I actually thought it was going to be trash fire, like most of the Star Wars shows after it had been owned by Disney, actually.
Ooh, shots fired.
Ooh, well, if they're anything like the soldiers there, maybe they'll miss.
Don't come after us, Disney, please.
18 firing
Oh, yeah.
with stormtroopers.
But it's funny that because I honestly I never saw any advertisements for Star Wars Visions. I heard of it through TikTok when some people were talking about it on TikTok. But the moment it came out, radio silence. I have not heard much about Star Wars Visions after it came out. What about you guys? You guys hear anything?
Well, I mean, for me, when they first announced it and the trailer came out for Star Wars Vision, I was like, oh wow, anime meets Star Wars? This is a very interesting idea. I want to see how this plays out. And so the buzz was there for sure when it was first announced, but then once the episodes kind of dropped, I didn't hear that much, more. I didn't hear that much of like buzz afterwards too. Like you would never find like any reviews of like Star Wars Visions and what people thought of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
series in general or each episode.
Yeah, it's like it's not that it crashed and burned, more like it disappeared as a concept or got overshadowed by I don't know what it would get overshadowed by because it was probably one of the most recent things that came out from Disney, but yeah, overall
Well,
I think it was a pretty good concept, but
well, Andy, you have to remember in today's day and age, there's always like continuous content that's being thrown out there. So it's possible it got shuffled because of something bigger, something newer just got introduced, and then that kind of
I
overtook its
disagree.
spotlight.
I
Yeah,
disagree with. I disagree. I think it's really more of the lack of advertising
that could be it too.
because there was really no sense of advertising. I would hear Disney cry about Mulan for years, but that it's as if they just released it in the shadow and not saying anything.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised by that too because they, like a while back, they had shown kind of like a roadmap, or not a roadmap, but they revealed like the names of 10 Star Wars shows or productions that were in the works and they were going to come out in the near future. And I'm pretty sure Star Wars Visions was not one of them. So when they announced it, like, I don't know, a few weeks ago, whenever that first announcement came,
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised because I didn't know about it beforehand, and it was coming very quickly. And there was really just that one like commercial drop about it, and then they just dropped the thing, right? So in terms of marketing, like I think Tensa's got a good point where they just didn't give people time to get hyped about it, and they didn't really push it very hard, I guess because they didn't have much faith in it with Western audiences. Like maybe they don't know how popular anime here is here, but
I
Yeah,
think
no,
just a personal aversion to anime.
Well,
yeah, no, I
actually,
think. So, yeah, sorry, go on.
well, I was gonna say I think they're just trying to jump on the anime bandwagon because I don't know if you see Netflix, but Netflix has taken a turn to produce all these anime shows. Like they brought back
Yes.
Psyche K and stuff, and I think it's because the anime industry has been the least affected from COVID. And
Mhm.
it's become such a big industry. And Disney, I think, is, well, with the advertising thing, they haven't been advertising a lot of things because they're afraid of losing money. And I think Visions is no different, that they were just afraid of losing money. And then when it stopped, when it didn't get the hype they thought it might get, they just killed the advertisement for it because
Well,
unlike
I think it's a
Shang-Chi, that didn't get
combination.
advertisements until later.
Yeah, well, I think it's a combination of everything we just said. So yeah, there was a huge lack of advertising, and then a bunch of always new continuous content being thrown out there. So we kind of get distracted and go like to concentrate towards something else. So yeah, I think maybe Disney was kind of like treading cautious when they introduced anime to the Western audience through Star Wars and Disney. So because of that, the hesitation and everything, they just didn't give it the full support and push that it needed, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. It's definitely a mix of everything. But
Yeah.
let's go into the episodes. So what do you
do
guys
it.
think? Does anyone have a favorite episode that they want to share with the class?
I do for sure.
Or a favorite part?
Go ahead, Monado. We'll let you have it.
So I can definitely say that, like, I have a few favorites, but my favorite episode of them all was, I have to remember if it was, I think it was called The Village Bride. Episode,
Yes.
Episode 5, yes.
was
Yes,
No,
it,
I think it was episode 4.
yeah, it was
I think it was
4.
episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry about that.
I really,
okay.
really liked that one. I think it had like a lot of Star Wars in it and a lot of like with just the right amount of anime in there where they had like a lot of world building and it had a lot of emotion too. Like I really was emotionally invested in that one. The score, like the soundtrack for that episode was really, really good, and it like brought the atmosphere of it up a notch. It was really something that stood like head and shoulders above the others for me, even though like it's hard to come to beat like episode 1, The Duel. Like that one's just really fucking sick.
Oh yeah.
But this episode for me was my favorite just because of the way it was. I liked the art style too. The art style was really nice, and they had a really good use of color. It was really vibrant, and just everything was amazing about it. I liked the plot too. It was cool. I've seen something like that before, but like it's still good. It was cool. The way it ended too was really neat.
So what about it screamed Star Wars for you? Because I personally didn't see. I guess for a lot of the episodes, I didn't feel like it was Star Wars. I just felt like it was Star Wars-esque. What about that episode made it feel more like Star Wars for you? That maybe I just didn't recognize.
World building and the two main characters, right? The girl Jedi and her companion. They're observing another planet, which was actually like connected to the Force, but in a way that they weren't accustomed to. Like the locals called it the Magina or the Magina, however you want to pronounce it. But they basically had the same, like they had different words for the same thing, which was actually something that was explored in the books that I've read anyway. So that kind of just reminded me of that sort of lore and world building aspect to Star Wars.
Cool. It's pretty cool. Honestly, I wouldn't have put that in my top 5, but after you talking about it, it might be going up there.
I have a question for Manana though.
Yeah.
Did you feel like in that particular episode 4 about the Village Bride, did it feel like it had the best rendition of the of anime features put together? Like, did it feel like anime-esque also out of the rest of the episodes?
A bit. I feel like
Okay.
it had a really good balance of everything, where it had like tropes of like, you know, the bad guy was kind of just like an anime bad guy. But they also had like really cool like really tight animation, really good art style. What else? Just yeah, that's the thing. Like I feel like it wasn't too anime, but it made good use of the tools of the trade.
Well, what about you, Wiseman? What's your favorite episode?
I can't say I have one particular favorite episode. There's a few I have that I really like. So I think Manada brought up the episode about the first episode, the duel.
Yeah.
That one was a tribute to the Kurosawa movies because Kurosawa back in the day when he made those movies were black and white, and George Lucas drew a lot of like inspiration from that too for when he started creating his Star Wars series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the beauty about that is that everything is not black and white; it's all gray. Like there's all a bit of melding, and so you can't say like it's all dichotomy. Like you have something that's one black and white, like something's good and bad. It's like nah, it had a gray atmosphere behind it, and the only color we ever saw was when they drew out their lightsaber. And the best part is the character that we're following along with is the wanderer called Ronin, right? Master Ronin. He is such an interesting character because he barely speaks. You don't know anything about his past or who he is and everything, and all you know is that he has a Sith lightsaber and he's been collecting Sith kyber crystals, and you're like, who the heck are you? Like that one just blew my mind for sure.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. I like that too.
Yeah. Another one I guess you could say that I liked also was forget which episode number this is, but it's called The Ninth Jedi. Somewhere down.
Oh,
That's
God.
episode 5.
Okay, sure. I'll go with it. It's episode 5. The thing I liked about that.
After the bride.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing I liked about that is that it does kind of build up on the lore and the world of Star Wars because we're seeing a journey of a young girl who has a small connection to the Force because when she lights up her lightsaber, it's not fully like tangible. It's like a faint color, and that's when they explain, oh, you have a connection to the Force, but it's just not that great. Later throughout the episode, you see it finally is more solid, colored, tangible, not transparent, and then you find out, oh, so there are people out there who are kind of Force sensitive, but just cannot wield the Force as they want. But then with some training and some like meditation, you know, you can get there and become a Jedi. So I was like, wow, that's a good episode too. And there were some interesting twists and turns too, but some might have been predictable, I guess.
I don't know. When all their lightsabers turned red, I literally said, "Oh damn!" Like that was an "oh damn" moment for me.
Well, yeah, I like that because it reversed the whole situation. Oh, the good guys are actually the bad guys, and the bad guys are actually the good guys.
It was pretty cool. I expected like one of them to have a red lightsaber, but it's like nope, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I actually that kind of brings me like I really like that episode because they kind of lead you to expect who the bad guy is in that, and then they kind of flip it on its head in making it so that no, actually that guy was a good guy all along. Like he never was a bad guy, but the Jedi that were invited there were bad guys after all. And it was just like, what? They actually did that? That's crazy. And it's a really good example of how the series overall handled subverting expectations. But we can talk about that later because that's.
I have a question for you, Manolo. Did you see that coming? Like, were you expecting it?
No.
No. Okay.
I was of the mind that like, okay, well, I definitely feel like the Margrave is gonna like end up being a bad guy.
Yeah.
I really didn't know. I didn't expect all those like invited people to end up being Sith. Like that was crazy.
Nah, they definitely pulled the rug under us. I was like, whoa, you got me good.
Yeah, it was very cool. What about you, Tenzei? Do you have a favorite episode?
Let's see. In my case, it would be, well, definitely the duel because it was like the least Star Wars-like episode in the first place.
Really?
Yes. The other one that I liked was also The Elder. But
yes, I like that one too.
But I think one of my big personal favorites if I had to choose one, it
Mhm.
would basically be the twins.
Yeah, the twins is a good one also.
Really? Oh god.
I mean, I find it's a good throwback to old school Star Wars because the characters, like that guy kind of is like a young Luke, and then you have the twins aspect, which is also already been explored in Star Wars mythos. So I can see why, yeah.
I mean, I
And-
did
and-
like the concept, but I don't get
and-
Star Wars physics. But continue, Tensei.
And yes, of course, the physics was a little weird with the lightsaber not killing its sister, even though that he just cut her ship in half. Um, and I just like how they went with full-powered shonen nonsense with, I'm gonna have this big sword that will cut through a ship, but save my sister at the same time in one swing.
What?
Yeah, while they're being able to breathe in space. Can Jedis breathe in space? Or Sith?
Not-
They
I don't know.
cannot.
It's
They
confirmed
actually
now.
cannot. That's the thing. It's one of those anime moments where that's really suspension of disbelief, but really they're not supposed to be able to breathe in space.
I think the writers
sister
just
was-
threw the logic out, threw the
Yes.
logic out the window.
The sister in the beginning made sense because she had her costume, which
Mhm.
made sense. But the moment that she just threw it out, I was like, huh, what?
Well, yeah, like she takes off her helmet, so it's like, well,
Well
No,
then, yes.
What was the need for it?
Yes, and
Hmm.
and how the guy was on his own spaceship without falling off the ship while it's being propelled in hyperspace.
yeah.
Yeah, well, he didn't die.
Yeah, like he literally was just on the ship when it jumped to hyperspace. Like, what?
Super shonen power.
God, it was...
For sure.
So
It's like a hyperdrive attack. You know what's
Yes.
funny? That moment. Sorry. I was gonna say that moment kind of made me think of episode 8 when they did the hyperdrive attack. Also, at that moment to defeat that enemy Starfleet. I was like, oh.
well, I
okay.
was gonna say actually that episode was like heavily inspired by Ryan Johnson and episode 8 of like the Last Jedi, because like they did the hyperspace thing where it breaks the entire Star Destroyer and they can breathe in space just like Leia did, right? She just like was fine in space even though it's space.
So what you're saying is that we can blame Ryan Johnson for that episode.
Yes.
It's my goddamn fault.
All right, that's what we'll do.
That's fair.
Yeah, I actually really didn't like that episode at all. It was
Hilariously,
this was just too over the top.
I think that Tatooine Rhapsody, the second episode, was the most Star Wars-like episode in the entire series.
I mean, it had a lot of characters that we were familiar with for sure. Jabba the
It was
Hutt.
the
I was
only
like,
one that we
right.
had. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the only one with characters we recognize.
It's not only that, it's the fact that it's also the fact that it's the only one that actually has the feel, the actual area and everything. In every other episodes, I always felt like this was another show, but they had like a lightsaber to say, oh yeah, I have the Force. Like for example, TOB1. I really
You
thought
mean
it was
Astro Boy means Flintstones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Astro Boy meets Mega Man meets Flintstones.
Yes. Yes.
Because while Toby is basically Astro Boy, the guy who created him is basically Dr. Light from Mega Man.
He does look like him, eh?
Oh my god, yes, you're
He
right.
does look like him.
Yeah,
Yo.
that's so weird.
I mean, like, that was an interesting episode because that's like telling us, I was like, oh, yo, even though if you're not human, even a robot could become a Jedi. So I'm like, oh, well, at that point, anything become a Jedi at that point. Like, you see the water bottle that I have on my desk? Yeah, that's a Jedi too now. If it has a mind, a will of its own, it can wield it.
Yeah,
Potentially.
Monado, you know the lore. Is that possible? Can a droid be a Jedi, or is that not possible?
General Grievous was a thing.
Well, he's not a
gosh.
Jedi. He was not a Sith either. Like
technically he's a Sith. He's actually a Sith.
I mean, don't fight the Star
no.
Wars.
Anyway,
Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah,
on the
that's
floor
like-
here.
He's not.
Like
He's
a
not a
Sith
Sith
would be.
Lord. He's just a Sith.
Mm,
Well, like he's part of the
Yeah,
group,
up
is
for
what you mean,
debate.
I think.
up for
No?
debate.
Okay.
But anyway, like yeah, like General Grievous is one example, although he's not pure droid.
Mhm.
There
No,
are
I meant like he has mechanical parts. So, and if he's still a and you have to also think about Darth Vader, which he's fully like not in the beginning, but like by episode 4, he's mostly a robot, and he can still do things.
no, he's
So
not mostly a robot. He's
The
like
cyborg.
he's missing limbs, but yeah, like he's
Yeah.
a cyborg. He's
that's the thing. He has no limbs. He has nothing.
yeah,
He
but
can-
But he still has a head.
that's
and his body.
his head and his torso.
And his
minus his
soul,
ball.
if you count that.
Essentially,
Oh no,
you're
do
not making a
robots
good
have
case
souls?
here.
Do robots dream of electric sheep?
I have a
Yes,
question.
they do.
I have a question. Can General Grievous ever do like lightning force?
No, he couldn't
Not that I
actually
know
use
of.
the Force.
Yeah.
From
So
what we've
then,
seen in movies.
so then we're right. He's not really a Sith. He's just like someone who could just hold lightsabers, multiples, and just fight.
Basically, but like Darth Vader is kind of in the same boat where he's also heavily composed of machinery, but he can use the Force. So like again, you also have to consider the fact that the Star Wars lore is very inconsistent to begin with. So like it's best not to get into it, I feel like.
True. Too many
Fair
many
enough.
cooks in the kitchen. People add like more stuff, and then it just goes against the logic what was already established. So I get your point. Yeah, it's
That's
true.
literally
Yep.
it. When people were writing books before Disney bought
Oh, yeah.
Lucasfilms,
I was confused.
everyone was just like kind of doing their own thing, and so there was a lot of books out there of Star Wars, which was great. But a
Mhm.
lot of them contradicted each other because
Yes.
obviously everybody has a different like vision or interpretation or idea that they want to bring to the lore. So
And I think Disney took some and then leave the rest like out of canon. Like, yeah, it doesn't exist. It's somewhere else.
yeah, and I think it's largely for that reason, just so that they could make it like uniform.
What about you, Andy? What was your favorite episode? You got ours.
Oh well, my favorite episode. I think The Elder was probably one of my favorite episodes because that's the one that I think overall was the best well structured, especially when you have a short story like that. Because all these episodes, I find that they were trying to put this big story in a really small time frame.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, The Elder, I think, kind of kept the same flow without trying to put too much story into it. It kind of just flowed within the scene.
It did feel more Star Wars-esque, I think.
Exactly. I think there's definitely, and you could kind of learn off of the dialogue and off of the scene. So I preferred that overall. But what was the other episode? Lop and Ocho, the one with the rabbit girl.
Yes.
That
My
one
least-
I like, but not as a Star Wars anime.
Yeah,
As
my
its
least
own
favorite.
thing, it would have been good as its own thing, I think.
That was my complaint with the entire Vision thing. And to be fair, I do agree that the Elder was actually properly self-contained,
Mhm.
while the Elder and the Village Bride was actually self-contained.
Mhm.
But everything else, there was always this moment where I would expect a part 2, but there's no part 2.
Well, not that we know of. Who knows if this ever was popular and we get season 2, we might get a continuation, but I doubt it too.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I
Didn't
doubt
get
it.
well received.
Yeah.
It's something along the lines of it's the feeling of there's always a cliffhanger. Oh, and technically TLB1 is also the one without a cliffhanger as well, because it's like this one's just going to another story entirely.
True.
What about the
But-
weapons, guys? The saber umbrella. How cool was that?
That was great.
Super
That-
cool.
Was that in the duel, right? That was in the first episode?
Yes, that's the duel.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was-
that's what I'm saying.
Cool weapons.
I mean, every episode had featured at least one lightsaber, except for maybe episode 2 with the Tatooine Rhapsody. It was all about the music. You know, I feel like Tatooine Rhapsody was like a tribute to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Just them
Yes.
going around the town just trying to perform a show, but they can't because they're always on the run. It's funny.
To me, what I found funny with the duel is that was watching it like in the first 5 minutes, and I'm just like, this is a ripoff of Samurai 7.
It is. Kurosawa,
yeah.
man.
Not a ripoff, a tribute.
I would say
Yes.
ripoff.
I mean, everyone
So
got their own perspective, opinion on it. Yeah.
Tatooine Rhapsody kind of looked more like a tribute in and of itself. The Village Bride, that was just a cool episode on its own. I personally didn't see what made it so Star Warsy. Same thing for The Elder.
Well, I think the Elder was the most Star Warsy. Well, my opinion, but again, I'm not an expert like Monado over here, so I would respect his opinion.
It was weird to me because it's this kind of thing where it was weird because to me it was when we're looking at the heroes, sure, that was very Star Warsy, but when I saw The Elder, it felt like I was watching another samurai show entirely.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point of this whole series, is not to like be kept strictly in the confines of what's already been done in Star Wars, but to be, creative and do something interesting and like meld the two genres together, or the anime.
Remember, Tenzo, this is every studio's like anime studio's take on Star Wars and what they would do with it if they had the chance, I guess.
Yeah, it's their own original idea. Do you think they did a good job? Like, overall, because it's trying to you're bringing anime fans and Star Wars fans together. And overall, do you think this was a good idea?
Definitely. What's bad about it? It's just some really cool creative content that we got for Star Wars, expressed in a medium that we've never seen it before, officially. Right, because there's actually been like a fan project of doing an anime take on Star Wars before, but that was just like a fan made thing. But this is like official, and it really like had a large scope because of the fact that it was worked on by many different studios instead of just like being one season of a show that's like serialized, worked on by just one production studio.
Yeah, no, you're right. I like the concept because it's very similar to, I don't know if you guys know Love, Death, Robots on Netflix. It's the exact same
I
concept.
never watched it. Yeah, never watched it, but I know
Never heard of it.
It's very good, but it's the exact same concept where it's different animation studios make their own. I mean, there's no real. Well, I guess the theme is Love, Death, Robots. I think that's the only thing they get, and then they just make an animation with that concept, and those were amazing. I would watch them multiple times, but if I really compared that type of content to what Star Wars Visions did, I would go to Love, Death, Robots immediately. I just don't think that the Star Wars Visions really makes me want to go and rewatch Star Wars, Like, Wiseman, you're not very well versed in Star Wars. Did this make you want to watch more Star Wars?
Yeah, I was definitely open to watching more Star Wars because through this anime mediation, we can be more versed in Star Wars and learn more about it. But I think that the problem with this series is that I felt like not a lot of episodes were tributes to anime. Like I said, the first episode was all black and white. It was more tribute to the Kurosawa Samurai 7 kind of vibe. And there were only just a few episodes where I thought it felt like anime. Otherwise, the other time it just felt like any other animation that you would see, like maybe on Cartoon Network and that kind of like domain. So I was like, So, if they ever do continue, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd continue to watch it, but I think they need to like maybe, I don't know, try to lean towards more to the anime side and towards the Star Wars side. I'm just saying. That's just me.
Well, that makes sense. Anyone else have a point? Sorry, Tensei, you
go. Yes. In my case, I would say that I like the idea of the duel basically being a mashup of Chanbara movies. Because the more I think about it, the more I look at the Ronin, the more I'm like, isn't he Toshiro Mifune, the star in every samurai movie in Japan, of the Kurosawa movies? Conversely, the twins, I feel like it had a bit of Gurren Lagann in it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. You're right.
Of course, The Elder was closer to more Basilisk, but not quite. The thing is that to me, to me, it was really an anime, but it was less absurd than regular animes, if that makes any sense. When I mean less absurd, I mean in the sense of, aside from the twins, they're not going to go leaps and bounds out of breaking logic immediately. They
Yeah, they were
will,
tame.
and I actually liked that concept. I really prefer them as their own thing, however. Like, watching them made me want to watch the extension of their original thing. Like, for example, I would love to have the duel extended into maybe a full movie. I would love to see the entire story of the twins. The Village Bride and the Elder were self-contained already, so they were perfect. But for example, the Ninth Jedi, I would love to see part 2. Lop and Ocho, it felt like it didn't end. It was like a cliffhanger. Like, I'm just like, what now?
So for you, you want more. You're like, I want these concepts, but in long form now to have it full completion.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Yes, because they gave a concept, and they look like unfinished projects. To be fair,
I agree. They don't have a well-versed ending to any of them. Really,
Yeah.
is there any other episodes that you would like to see more of? Like, if they were to extend it or make one its own original show, do you guys, if you could pick, which one would you pick?
I think the ones that Tensa picked, I would just lean towards because those were my favorite episodes. So if they were to give us more of that, I'd be happy.
What about you, Monado?
God, I kind of don't know. Oh no, wait, no, I do know. I do know the Ninth Jedi easily. That's like,
Yeah.
that one was
Because it-
my maybe second favorite in general of the entire series, and it was like the one that I would want to see the most of because of how cool it was when it started off in this episode. So
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. That one looked cool. I would say the dialogue maybe would need work, but if they actually went and continued with that concept and made a full anime movie or TV show, I think they could definitely get a lot of hype for that. But
that's
I
fair.
don't know. I don't know if Star Wars is going to keep going the anime route. I hope they do. I really hope they do. If they work on it, they can make something really cool.
I think so too, yeah. To answer like your question that you had asked earlier, about whether this series makes you want to like watch more Star Wars, I actually would say that it doesn't for me. So if I compare it to like The Mandalorian, that was a show that also released on Disney Plus that made me want to like see more Star Wars because it felt very Star Wars. In contrast, this series felt very different from like the traditional Star Wars that we usually see. And so it didn't really make me feel like, oh, damn, like I'd really like to see more Star Wars because it didn't feel overall too Star Wars. But I was okay with that because it was already so unique in like the Star Wars library. Like in general, I would definitely want to see more of Star Wars Visions, but like it is a departure from Star Wars, so I will give Tensa that. But I think it's like the others, I would definitely want to see a lot more from what we've already seen, or just like completely new stories that other production studios would think up.
Yeah, that'd be true. They can get so many other production studios on board with the season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have any final thoughts they want to make? Anything that they haven't said yet about the series? Like, do you think it was a good idea overall, or any favorite things from it?
I'm curious to know, with now Star Wars Vision out there for people to view, do you think a lot of more production studios, like especially anime production studios, would take on other existing IPs and try to make their own spin on it? Let's say they were to go into, I don't know, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though that's already kind of like Japanese because you have ninja in it, but like, what if someone took an existing IP and just tried to like make their own anime spin to that? You guys would be interested in that, or?
I want to see Kamikaze Douga do it. I want JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That'd be cool.
Well, it doesn't have to be TMNT. It could be like other properties. I just can't think of anything at the moment. Maybe an anime version of, let's say, Stranger Things. Possible.
That'd be pretty cool. I think anime just loves. I love the visuals in anime. Every episode had gorgeous visuals. If they
Yeah.
could bring that to Star Trek, that is like all about exploration of far off lands. I know it's very similar to Star Wars, but I mean, I think I'm committing cardinal sin by saying that because I'm personally a Star Trek fan. But if they could just introduce you to some beautiful scenes of a different and really focus on the visuals, I think anime could really bring that to Star Trek.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a really good idea, especially because like the live action has been so poorly done recently for Star Trek. Like anime or just animation would probably breathe a lot of life into that IP that it sorely needs.
Cool.
What
So,
about you, Tensei? Got any ideas?
Frankly, no. When I was watching Visions, I just didn't think of much, and the fact that there was already a Star Wars manga in Japan, there was already an Iron Man manga in Japan, I didn't really think much of it because it's like they've already doing that. It's nothing new to me.
so Tenzo, you can't think of any other IP that's out there that might have an interesting take if it was into an anime art style?
I actually don't think it's inherently interesting in the first place.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair.
It's
Alright.
more of a wait and see approach, really.
That's
Mhm.
fair. Like sometimes you don't even know you want it until it becomes a thing, and then you're like, oh, I want it.
I need it!
Exactly. As
Yeah.
of right now, I just think that because they did the reverse process of turning things into live actions, doing the reverse, I'm not sure how it's going to be. I actually am worried of how it's going to turn out. And I'm pretty sure that some of them could come out really great. I mean, I've like in the same way that I've seen Ultraman, like the actual show, into an anime. That was cool, but
Yeah,
I mean,
Ultraman anime on Netflix is rad.
but otherwise, it's just that there's so many shows that I'm just thinking, and a lot of them could work, but it's really about the execution, and because of I am not sure how the execution would go, I cannot say anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, is that it? Is that it? Anyone else got anything else to say?
Yeah, I have one last thing that I wanted to touch on. So like
Perfect. I'll give you the last word.
sweet. So like I had mentioned it earlier how like obviously the twins drew a lot from from The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's work with Star Wars. Whether that's good or bad is to the viewer's interpretation, obviously.
It's bad. I'll just say it.
What I liked about this series this series overall, Star Wars Visions, was how they approached subversion of expectations, and it ended up really, really being good. Whereas in The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson made a point to subvert expectations, but obviously it was really to the detriment of the film if you were a Star Wars fan. And so it's really interesting to see how it was done right here, where they like lead you along with tropes, like in The Ninth Jedi, right? They lead you to believe they're like, okay, I've seen this one before. I know who the bad guy is going to be, and then they flip it on its head, and you have no idea. Or with like Lupin Ocho, the sister ends up just being super evil, which is not like It's so weird.
It made no sense. I agree with you. Like, like it's one of the episodes where it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. Like, I thought that the dad was going to be the main antagonist or something, given how it started off, because, like, the girl was all gung-ho, like, like Ocho was like, oh, no, you're going to be part of our family now, and she seemed so happy about it, and then she ends up being the one that, like, kind of breaks the family apart. So that was...
As Dom Turtle would say, you don't turn your back on family.
You don't turn your back on family.
No, never turn your back on family.
Or episode 1 was really, really good too with that, where You start with the Ronin wandering in, and you're like, okay, this guy's definitely a Jedi, and the guy, the Empire that comes in are obviously like the bad guys, and so the Ronin is going to fight them, and the Jedi is going to win over the Sith, right? But then he pulls out his lightsaber, and it's red, and he's like, no, I'm no Jedi, and it's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Like,
and all
what the
that,
heck?
his lightsaber is like a samurai sword. I was like, whoa, okay.
I like
So-
the fact that it was a samurai sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing of that anthology, because it's not really a series, it's really an anthology.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's if we were to look at every little details, they made their own unique thing. Like, for example, we talk about how in the duel this is like an actual lightsaber katana, or how in the Ninth Jedi it points out that you can just you don't necessarily have an alignment color if you just start out and you just have talent. Or how about the Elder? Oh yeah, I have 2 short swords, and I was even expecting at some point to have one of the little blades grow longer or something, but no. Or how about Lop and Ocho? If you look closely at Lop's lightsaber, there's runes written on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that. That was actually a really cool.
Yeah, that's
detail.
cool, yeah.
Like I like their takes on the lightsabers, and that's precisely why I liked it, because it literally made it less Star Wars.
All right, fair enough.
That's a cool way to think about it. Yeah, and as a a big group of anime guys, I definitely think we definitely fall on the anime side of things.
Definitely.
For sure.
It was overall for anime, pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so you guys okay with ending it here?
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for listening. This was our, I don't know, was the 7th episode?
Mm-hmm.
I believe
Yeah.
so, yes.
Yes, so this is episode 7. Thank you all so much for listening, and thank you guys for participating in today's episode.
My
Forever.
pleasure.
Thank you. And for everyone, just one more thing, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or check out our social medias. And that's it. Bye, everybody.
Take care.